All right, we're live. Welcome back to the Bearded Bros Golf Show. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Per usual, in another location this week. I had a cool trip out to Denver. If you have never been here in the fall, it is amazing. Temperatures are in the mid 70s. The golf is super pure. So if you've never been to Denver, you might want to check it out. I'll be posting a video on my visit to TPC Colorado later on this week once I edit it down and I add some voiceover stuff to it. But an amazing time at another TPC course. I have a video out there how to get out there and play TPC course. It's easier than you think, and every time the experience is going to be amazing. 10 out of 10. So enough of that. Solheim week just wrapped up on yesterday. The U.S. women unfortunately were not able to pull it out after going up 4-0 in the first round on day one. Left, day one just not in the position you would expect them to be in, and then going into the final day of singles tied 8-8. So, what did you think about the results, man? And the U.S. not being able to capture it after taking a commanding lead right off the bat.
Yeah, I feel like it was such a surprise to see them go up 4-0 that I'm not surprised that they ended the day 5-3. I feel like everybody kind of just was like, oh, all right, well, let's see what we can do in the second session. And then Europe,
Yeah.
got a little kick in the rear, I guess, from Suzann and did their thing in four ball, and I think that's more the surprise than anything is the switch, because historically Europe is always better with foursomes because they have chemistry, they always play together, they kind of know their yardages and stuff like that. And then four ball, when Americans can play their own ball and play their own game, that's usually when we make up some distance, make up some points, and it flipped. So it was kind of weird to see, but I thought overall it was a good product. I thought that again, I, it's just the captains have to just make sure that they're doing a better job of vetting as far as picks, because I felt like Lexi Thomas showed up
Thompson.
besides the shot. Yeah, Lexi Thompson. And then unfortunately, Andrea Lee just, I guess, let the pressure get to her because she didn't have a real good showing. She was in partner, teammate carousel, didn't have anybody locked in. Then on the last day, didn't perform as well on her singles.
Right.
Just things like that. But overall, I'm pretty optimistic. And then I think America is going to do what they need to do on home soil, especially since somehow they managed to get it to 8-8, because it looked like for the longest after Saturday's second session, they were going to be down 2 points because
Right.
they ended up splitting the first session that morning 7-5 after starting the day 5-3, which was good. That's decent. And then, you try to, lengthen out that lead, but when they come out and they're leading in all four matches and we somehow get two halves and a point out of it to split it and get it to 8-8, I was just over and beyond happy about that. So
Yeah.
we just aren't good in solos. Once again, Europe women have won the solo section since 2015, right? Since
It's crazy.
2015, they have
Yeah.
won every single solo session. So
I
got
think
some
there's
work
a
to do.
grittiness. I think there's just a
Yes,
grittiness about the European side. Like, even though, Saganda, right? In the individual
perfect point.
section, right. So you come down to the 17th hole and she flags that par three. It's playing about
Yeah,
145, and no one had really got, I mean, there had been some shots around the hole,
yeah,
within 5 to 8 feet, but she literally put it on the flag and, had that home country energy behind her. We had the controversy early in the year with her and slow play and feeling like she was being picked on. She came in with a chip on her shoulder.
Yeah,
Kind of being a veteran, and just something about Europeans, both men and women, that when it comes down to the singles, there is a certain just go get 'em attitude, especially when they're playing on home turf and have the crowds behind them.
absolutely.
I would say
You're
on the
playing our
U.S.
number
side,
one team.
yeah, yeah. I would say on the U.S. side, there were two disappointments for me that I think really told the story, and we touched on this to a certain degree like a couple weeks ago with the Stacy Lewis aspect that. These two captains, Suzann Peterson and Stacy Lewis, are going to be in this for the next 2 years, just because of the back-to-back format.
Yeah,
And to me, Stacy Lewis, this is the whole like still playing. We talk about this with Zach Johnson too. You're still playing, and I feel like you're out there caping for people versus being a true leader. I do not like her leadership style. It's a little too protective for my caring. I get it. You have to defend your players, but we'll get to this clip, and we have a differing opinion on this. How it was handled with Lexi Thompson from day one. But the other disappointment, unfortunately, was Rose Zhang. She went 0-2-1 throughout the week, so didn't get to play as much as we probably would have liked. She was also in the kind of the round robin format and could have gotten a couple other matches in or another match in, but she did not perform in her, what was a really good year and takes nothing away. But those were the two disappointments that I saw that kind of led to us not being able to capitalize off that early lead, surprisingly.
yeah.
But
I I I think like I mean, I luckily got a chance to watch a lot of it, so like it. I feel like this was kind of like it looked worse than it was because I felt like Rose Zhang had a lot of bright and good moments, a lot of clutch putts to carry her
mm-hmm.
team, to carry her duo, and her duo not really performing. Because remember, she played a lot of foursomes. I mean, well, she played. Let's see, she did her solo. No, she played four ball. Well, a lot of the time, well,
There was just
because
one that she didn't get out. So if she was 0-2, so there's two that she ended up missing out on.
I think she
I
missed
don't
both
know which.
morning sections. I think she
Yeah,
didn't do either foursome section and did four ball on her own ball. And then whoever she got paired with, I mean, I felt like sometimes her partner was just completely out of the hole and they're banking on Rose making a putt or clutching up and something like that. But also in guarding players, I felt like as much as I love Allie Ewing on the LPGA tour, I felt like she really choked it. I mean,
ooh, yeah, that was bad.
the
Headwall, who is
last
not.
hole, 0-6 in her last two in her last two Solheim Cups comes through for the solo. Like things like
Yeah,
that, man.
and
Nelly
she has not
Corda,
been playing well. She was a kind of controversial pick. Headwall was for just her play has
yes,
not been good, and she got on fire, winning 5 of the last 6 holes. She was like draining putts. It's that
yeah.
man. It's
She
infectious,
walked her
man. I
down.
like.
Mhm.
She sure did. Yeah, that one was definitely disappointing. And you were saying who Nelly Corda putter was cold all week.
Golly, she caught so much lip, it was insane, bro. Like it honestly sad. Like, and then like I felt like she let her age get in the way. Because boy, she was throwing tantrums on that walking to the next tee box. You know how they do with the casual putter flip and stuff like that. There's a little
Yeah,
animosity. There's a little animosity a couple of those holes. So I personally think she flopped. But when you flop, I feel like you gotta, do other things. Like as far like compared to like a Danielle Kang. Danielle Kang, not the longest, great putter,
mm-hmm.
great leader.
Yep,
When we talk about Danielle Kang, there is never a time where she's not cheering somebody else on or locked into the objective of what she needs to do. Nelly Corda, she's just along for the ride. You're the number one player. You're not acting like it. You're not talking
yeah.
about we still got it. You're not in the lead presser. Like we not interviewing you like we would Stacy Lewis. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just things like that.
That's
Again,
what I'm saying, man. To
it has
me,
to do with leadership. You're right. It has to do with Stacey
American
Lewis and everything.
American athletes just do not have the grit, and I feel like they've been given so much that when it comes down to we live off of talent. Nobody's going to deny that Nelly Korda
Yeah.
is an amazing player with just a swing talent that is otherworldly. No one will deny that. But when the chips are down, it's like you have to reach a little bit deeper and into your soul and figure out how you're gonna kind of
Yeah.
scratch it out when you don't have your full game that day. And it's just like you said, just the whole pitching, little fits and the body language just did not look great. It's kind of like at a certain point, I was actually watching the last day. I was able to wake up and catch the singles for the most part.
Hmm.
And at a certain point, when, like you were saying with Allie Ewing, she looked shocked. It looked like,
For sure.
head wall came up and punched her in the face, and she was just stunned. I think it was about hole number 14 or 15. She had drained a putt, and Allie Ewing just looked like, okay, you just kind of knew it was over at that point. That
Yep.
the result was going to be inevitable. And you can't have four of your players just lay an egg. So Allie Ewing, Nelly Korda, early on, again, we're going to get to it with Lexi Thompson, even though she was able to close out her match on Sunday
Speaking.
and kind of bring it in. But, again, just the defensiveness, which, again, coddling. So I think this is an appropriate time to bring this up. So hopefully we don't get hit with a copyright strike. I'm going to pull this up. So you see where the flag is, the chip, and the end result there of it ending up in that collection area. We'll talk. They brought her up on stage, and again, you're on the stage to answer questions. You don't have to. You can voluntarily exit out of the media sessions. You don't have to go up, but you have a perspective on this, and we'll get into it. So let's play the clip.
Could you talk about the third shot at 18? There was some question on what you were trying to do and what you actually did do on the third shot. Could you just go through it for us?
I don't need to comment on that.
Excuse me?
I don't need to comment on the chip. It was a bad lie, and I didn't hit a good chip, but it was pretty much impossible. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right, to Amy, and then down front.
Stacy, with all the play.
So at the end there, you hear Stacy. You can barely hear Stacy Lewis say
Yeah,
"terrible question."
Terrible question. Hmm.
So my perspective is that that question is fair game. I get it. Golf is tough. We know this. Some shots are. It's just her initial reaction, right? So she ended up answering the question, which she should have just done in the first place. So it made something that was average and mundane, right? You're not always going to have 100% of your game, but you bring attention to the failure. And again, it's that kind of babyish reaction that I can't respect. And if this was a male, I know a lot of questions came up about, if this was a male player, they'd be treated the exact same. Those tough questions come out in the press room. You didn't think the question was fair game. Why did you think that? And, I guess, do you just avoid that? I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah. All right. So, in to your point with men answering the question, I think it. First of all, the question is guided heavily. If you want to ask her about the shank, ask her about the shank. Don't get into particulars like you're trying to be a journalist when you're just trying to egg on a bad response. First of all you have to do is ask, hey, we saw you, it gets the best of us. What happened on the shank? What were you trying to do? Such and such and such. It's all in perspective of how you ask it. But when you guide the question in there like that, I too would have reacted like that. Like, what are we saying, bro? Like, I shanked it. What else do you want me to say, bro? Next question. Like, I mean, I'm always a fiery guy. So when things like that happen,
Yes.
I definitely would have popped off. Stacy Lewis needed to stay in her lane, let Lexi Thompson be an adult, and defend herself. But again, when the question is guided like that, I too would have reacted that way, because you can't pop up on somebody with a question like that I'm not saying you needed to be like, Lexi, I'm sorry it happened to you, but can you just describe what happened on that? Again, you don't have to really get into details, but if you want to bring it up,
Yeah.
you can. But like when you come off and you're like, look, third shot, 18th hole, what happened? I need to know right now. Like that's essentially the tone he had with it. And then like
That's fine,
you
I
you
guess, man.
acted aghast when she was like, I don't need to comment on that. Excuse me, pardon me. I
Well, you're
don't
up there.
need to
You're up
ask
there
about it.
answering questions. To me, this is what the background, right? So Lexi's play has been questioned going into the Solheim Cup, right? She is not
Yeah.
also, has not had her best year either, and really struggled. And it was one of those legacy picks, somebody that has performed in the past, young
Yeah.
talent, still incredibly young into her career, but it contributed to the idea, excuse me, the idea that she didn't belong there. And this is day one, right? And so I don't know, man. That's the part that I guess aggravates me is that, you know, it's
But
okay
she
to have a
played
chip on
well that
it's okay to
morning.
have a chip on your shoulder. Say that again?
But she had just played well that morning. I mean, she was a part of the reason that they swept. One bad shot shouldn't determine or, kind of be the judgment of how overall I did in a 3-day event where I was in pretty much every session but one. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
had 4 good sessions and one bad shot. I played 72 holes. You can't just literally be here and be like,
Yeah.
yo, that's all I'm saying. Like
Let me
I
ask you a
I get
question.
why she
Let
was
me
mad.
ask you
Go ahead.
this. When is it appropriate to talk about choking? Is it ever appropriate? Can you bring that up directly with an athlete, or is that something that in your mind that is out of bounds?
I think you can bring that up. Now, I don't think her shanking that chip is a choke. Like I think that's just
Okay.
I think it's a bad shot. But at the end of the day, when like perfect example, 2016 NBA Finals, that's a choke. Steve Kerr, you get up to the pressure after the game, despite Iguodala winning Finals MVP or whatever it may be. Steve, what happened? What happened? That's all you need to ask. We lost, and that's what you can get into it there. You 73-9. I don't think the Solheim team this year was really supposed to just come out and just beat the brakes off of Europe. You know what I'm saying?
No, no. I mean, I think they I don't think there was the expectation that they would win. I don't. The odds were not in their favor, not playing on home soil. Some unknowns, very young team.
Yeah.
Just people who haven't consistently performed. I don't even want to miss out. Another disappointment. I can't remember her overall record, but Lilia Vu winning 2 majors this year really didn't step up to the plate either, right? So
Right.
again, you had about 3 to 4 players on the U.S. side. You can't have 1/3 of your team struggling. That's just not
Yeah.
possible to go out there and win. I think that they did themselves a disservice by coming out so hot, right? Yes, I mean, are you going to take a 4-0 lead and be happy with it? Hell yeah. But
Right.
somehow you have to figure out how to leave that day 6-2, 7-1. But
Right.
when you give the Europeans a chance to get back to 5-3 and really swing the momentum back around versus
True.
really trying to shut that down where, going into singles where you maybe only have to close out, 5 matches, 6 match, something like that. Like they ended up getting half,
Yeah.
splitting the difference. But when you don't retain the cup, the pressure is on you to keep the pedal to the metal and figuring out ways to scratch it out. Again,
Yeah.
I think Stacy Lewis is way too close. Suzann Petterson, cool as the other side of the pillow. When she was a player and actively out there, she had that grittiness in her. You saw that in her spirit on the Solheim Cup. And I don't know what it is, with the U.S. and their picks. Again, it's this legacy, being in the club type of selections for captains.
Yeah.
Again, I've never. I know Zach Johnson's probably played in a handful of Ryder Cups or whatever, but has he ever stood out as like the guy? Somebody who you know what who I'd pick as a Ryder Cup captain over freaking Zach Johnson. Somebody like a Justin Leonard, right?
Yeah,
Historic putts. On the Champions Tour now, has been in the booth. There's a separation. These
yeah,
guys aren't buddy buddy piling up. From an American standpoint, I'd have to go dig and see, who is separated from the game that, would have the energy to lead this team. Folks that are, in the past, like a Nancy Lopez, they've
yeah,
done it, they've come and gone. I don't know who's that next level, but
yeah.
someone who's currently still trying to compete on the LPGA doesn't seem like a great fit for me because you have to hold people accountable. You have to say some ugly shit
Agreed.
in the room that they aren't going to get butt hurt by and carry that on and it'd be awkward moments. So I don't know. That strategy seems incredibly flawed to me, and we
Yeah,
really need to work around that on both the men's and women's side of the game.
yeah. So I
One
did.
thing, go ahead.
So I looked it up. Total points. Nobody on either team really had just an amazing Solheim Cup. You know who did though?
Who's
Hometown
that?
girl, Saganda. Saganda went 4-0-0, best record on either side. Next best record on either side, beat Megan Kane 3-0-1. Then Lexi Thompson 3-1, right? Lilia Vu 1-3. Nelly Corda somehow 2-2.
Mm,
Corpus 2-1-1. Jennifer Cutcho 0-2-1. Danielle Kane
mm,
2-2. Andrea Lee 1-2-1. Rosang 0-2-1. Allie Ewing 1-3. Cheyenne Knight under the radar 2-0-1. And then Angel Yin 2-1. So
yeah.
when you go by that, nothing really stands out besides a lot stands out because Nelly Corda should be like in that 4-0-1 type deal.
Yeah.
Lilia Vu, she should at least broke even. And then like a Cup Cho, to me, that's kind of disappointing. You don't really expect a lot out of her, but you don't expect her to negatively affect the team. Her to get point
No.
0.5 points, you expect for her putting to show up a little bit, something. You know what I'm saying?
But I think this speaks to what we've talked about all year with the LPGA is the parity and the lack of
Right.
dominance. Someone that you
Very
can
true.
just lean on and say, "Hey, you're going out there, you're going to be the woman this week. We're going to lean on you." I don't think we have anybody to that level. Again, Lily Avu,
Yeah.
good season. Well, I wouldn't even say good. You can't take away two majors, right? That's a good season. But in between those two majors, there was struggle golf. And it's just like a hard thing to find them playing well. So I know you have the records up. What did Lynn Grant do
Three and
on the
two.
Euro side?
I was
So,
that was my next point. There was only 3 players total out of 24 that played all 5 sessions. All on the European side, Emily Petterson, Lynn Grant, and Leona Maguire. And Leona Maguire, as good as she looked, 3 and 2. She had some
yeah,
L's. She took some
yeah.
L's, but that solo run was crazy. And
Oh,
again,
yeah. She went out there and took her behind the woodshed.
she
So
did.
she did
Suzann
her thing.
Petterson, and I don't like Suzann Petterson because she's a slow player. She's very deliberate. She's very catty. Like, I mean, you can tell from the Solheim Cup when she was in there dominating. That's what she
Yeah.
she got in people's heads. She's just almost like a Spaniard. She's gonna play her pace. She's gonna do some real shady shit where it's like, is that? You know what?
Is
I'm
it
not
in
gonna
the
say
is it in the
anything.
bounds? Right, right.
Exactly. It's teetering. We're teetering right now. But yeah, Emily Pedersen 2-2-1. And but again, before I get sidetracked, because you know how I love to do, Suzann Pedersen, a great captain. When you got
Yeah.
players that need to be hid, what they gonna do? Hide them. Gemma
Right.
Dryburgh Dribble Dryburrow, 0-2, hid. What are we talking about? What? Caroline Headwall, 1-1, hid. What are we talking about? You know what
And
I'm
that
saying?
that 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 tie on the last day, I honestly was a failure. I forget who she was going against, but it was more of a failure of the U.S. player that she was
They
going up
choked it.
against than her own play.
And even though Boutier played 3 matches, she played early. She played morning sessions. She didn't have it figured out. All right, we're gonna put
Yeah,
you on the bench, and then you just gonna play your solo. And what did they do? Put her out early in the solo matches too, bro.
yeah.
Goes to show you just how good. If you're a good captain, and I think that's one thing though that Ryder Cup has already established, bro. Like, homie, if you ain't got it, you ain't got it, bro. I'm not about to just send you out here on hopes and prayers thinking you gonna find it.
But I have no confidence that Zach Johnson is going to have that. In years
I,
past, 100%, you're going
I
to get
agree.
benched.
No, I
But
agree.
if we get to the end of the week this week and JT is like 0-2 or 1-2, and he puts him near the end, of the train on the same individuals. My God, I mean seriously, there's just got to be a level of, man, you ain't got it, bro, and you ain't going out there. We're not leaning
Yeah,
on you. I'm sorry. It's not an indictment of you as a player, but this just isn't your week. There has to
yeah.
be that level of conversation. I'm so damn scared. I'm telling you, man,
I'm not
of this
scared.
week. I am.
Uh, Again, like I said last week, and see, this is even more reason you need to believe in what I'm saying. Because remember, you got a shady coach or a coach you don't believe in anyways. It's like it's the same thing. We gonna huddle up in the back, and I'm gonna be like, look, I don't care what he got to say. This is how we gonna handle it, and they gonna handle up. We gonna I'm
We'll
gonna pull
see,
I'm gonna pull
man.
the record. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna pull the records back up next week when we do our show next week. But
All right.
I love the show notes. Let's get into the production and everything that
Hold on.
Stacy Lewis had to say.
I
Oh, go
know.
ahead.
One last thing before we go on to the show notes or to the production of it. Um, what are your thoughts on it ending in a tie? Like, again,
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah,
U.S.
yeah. I
would have
like
had
that
to
too.
have gotten, would have had to get to 14 and a half to take the cup, and the Europeans only had to get 14 to retain it. We ended up in a 14-14 tie. Do you think that is fair and just, or should there be some form of a playoff system um, in the Solheim and Ryder Cup?
I think they do have a form of it, like um, if the
I think it's the
matches is
President's
tied.
Cups.
Oh, that's the President's Cup. Okay. Well, for the Ryder
Yeah.
Cup, I know it's janky, but I like it. It's fine to me because the main thing is it's who got there first, right? So Saganda was like the 11th match. She got to
Mm-hmm.
14 before Nelly Corda could stop the choke and just get a half point and then let Lexi Thomas win it. Because remember, if they have, it's 13 and a half to 13 and a half. Lexi Thomas, even though she was leaking all the way in after winning 5 out of 6 holes during the middle of the holes to get, she had Emily Petterson find as in a torture chamber from like 8 to like 13. I mean, Lexi Thomas won like
You keep calling her
four.
Lexi Thomas. This is a bad omen. For
Thompson. It just rolls off the tongue. I'm sorry, Miss
I
Thompson.
know. I
So
feel like that's a bad omen for JT. He better get it together.
chill out. So if I remember correctly, Lexi Thompson won 6-7 back to back. They halved it. Emily Petterson had a chance to win the hole to kind of establish that up back, and then Lexi Thompson went on and won like 3 out of the next 4 again to go up 4 up or whatever, 4 up, going into 14 or whatnot. And that's when Emily Petterson started doing, trying to catch some momentum, flagged it on
Mm-hmm.
15, flagged it on 16, or got up and down or whatever. But yeah, you get to 13 and a half to 13 and a half, and then that's the anchor match, and she wins 2 up. It's 14 and a half to 13 and a half. So, it all works out. I think it's a okay system because it's whoever gets there first, and Europe stepped up and got there first. So,
Yeah,
although
I
it's a
don't know.
little
It
bit
just,
convoluted, I
yeah,
think it makes sense.
yeah, it feels a little bit unclean, but I guess if you've been winning since 2017, I guess you should have some,
Right. You've won the
I guess
last three in a
advantage.
row. Yeah.
So I didn't think, I don't have a big, one way or another. It just, I don't think we've ever ended in a tie in this way.
Right.
So it was
It's
just
been
an
a while.
interesting result. Yeah, it's been a while. So, but yeah, on the coverage, so interesting setup
Ooh.
from, yeah.
Let's get into it.
So I was watching it in on mute or really low volume, so I wasn't able to hear kind of the call from the booth and them saying, "Oh, this putt is for." But there was like major delays in the coverage that I was watching in terms of, especially on the last day when you're down to the individual, matchups. As soon as you're featuring a player, it should come up on the screen. The graphic should be showing, hey, this putt is for this, or
Yep.
this is to go. It's like it was a major delay if it ever came, and it was very frustrating. I can't pull it up, but Lisa Cornwell posted on Twitter a lot of talk about the Solheim Cup 2023 broadcast, limited graphics, lack of cameras, etc. But having just two on-course reporters is the biggest whiff of them all. I think those are all misses. You know,
Great.
hell, there's no other golf going on this week other than maybe the Champions Tour was playing and Corn
Corn
Ferry. But
Ferry playoffs with la da da, blah, blah, blah.
yeah, where were the people? Right? Where's the staffing for that? And Live Golf played this week, which we know they have their own folks. So it's not like somebody crossing over there. So it was
Yeah.
very interesting to see how bad that coverage was and kind of capitalizing and getting into the drama on the
Yeah.
last day. It was just poor. What did you think about it?
So, first of all, 100% agreed. How you don't have more than just John Wood and freaking Kay Cockerell. Both of them are just, well, first of all, both of them are lackluster. We've already gone over that. First of
Right.
all, like that's who you bring, and then John Wood is doing the pride stuff. He's like, I'm not carding it. I'm walking. Da 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 da. Okay, bro, we get it. You caddied on the PGA Tour. Fun. All right. But if we need more coverage, we need you to be in a cart so you can cover more matches. Or
Jump
you need to
around.
be
Yeah.
exactly, bro. Like, okay, hey, John, this match is all square. It teetering. We kind of need you to get over there. All right, I'm gonna hop in the cart. I'm gonna get over there. You're not doing that on this Spanish course that's on the side of a hill and on foot, bro. Like,
Right. No,
so
no
it's like,
interviews with the captains on the last day, like during the play. Like, hey, what are you thinking? Let me jump in with you real quick. Let me get you a headset real quick so we can chat it up at all.
please get them a AirPod, get them in the cart. Hey, Stace, what you got? What you think? How's it going this session? Just trying to encourage the girl. None of that. None of
Yeah,
that.
that
Then
has gone incredibly well on the PGA Tour this year. That the
it's
AirPod
so good.
interviews. Yeah,
It's so good, bro. But like, and then like in continuation with the call, bro. Tom Abbott and freaking Terry Gannon can't carry the coverage the whole time. And bless her heart, Judy Rankin is just, I mean, I love her. Great.
yeah,
And just like what you said, their pedigree is up there. They've done this. They're out of the game. They don't do that anymore. So they're completely unbiased. Their call is amazing every time. So when you bring in Julie Inkster, Queen America,
yeah.
it's bad. And I didn't like I didn't like 85% of the things she said because it was way too America needs to be doing this. Europe sucks this. Da 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 da. Essentially alluding to that. You know what I'm saying? Not in those
That
words,
Homer
paraphrasing.
coverage. Yeah,
Homer coverage, bro. Like, if you want to do that, then I need to see freaking. You gotta get Colin Montgomery or fucking Laura Davies. Excuse me, Laura Davies or somebody European up there on that mic stand. Thank you. Much appreciated. Like, there is, please get some separation. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Don't be the you have to be objective. If you're gonna be in the
you
booth, you're a
have to be.
journalist. It's just it's very sad. And again, we talk about the LPGA, and I want to again. I'm showing my Stacy Lewis dislike. I don't like her. I don't like her as a human being, as a captain. Her opinions on them wanting to bridge the gap between the Solheim Cup and the Ryder Cup, saying it was a
We
missed
need to talk about it.
opportunity. I just I'm sorry,
Let's get
ma'am.
into
Like
it.
I don't. Let's get into it. So one, the reality is, if you're going to do something like that, something that's conjoined, it needs to be like she said. At the end of the day, it needs to be planned a couple of years out in advance. This is
Yep.
not something that you can just kind of scrape together at the last minute and think that it's going to go very well. They were talking about last minute trying to combine the courses. Some wild, thoughts of having both cups run at the exact same time on the exact course. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's far fetched, right? Again, that has to be planned out far in advance.
Yeah.
But this is, again, the coverage. You're talking about you're advocating. That's one of the things that y'all could have done better. Again, lack of cameras on the ground. There were matches that we just didn't even see the second half of the individual
Brother,
play. When you were going up and down the board, there were so many one ups. The matches that were like right on top of each other that we never even saw coverage of. It's just like, come on now. We have, a handful of cameras parked on certain holes, and that was it. There was no following of groups. It was garbage. Again,
homie,
LPGA shooting itself in the foot again.
yep. I saw, look, bro, perfect example. Singles day, Allison Corpuz, like one of the last four matches, points matter. I saw none of her shots. I saw 16, 17. That's it. 17, she
Hmm.
lost the match, 2-1. 16
Yeah.
was a hole. She had a birdie putt. What else did we see of Allison Corpuz at all on singles day? Single session, I saw none of her. None of her. She won the U.S. Open going away. I saw none of her. What are we talking
Yeah.
about, LPGA?
You're not, yeah. Yeah, when you have an opportunity to feature stars, they don't even do it, right? It's just like, damn, if Nelly Court's not performing, do we have to watch her struggle? Move on to somebody else,
Please.
right? You had major winners out there that got very limited coverage, and
Lilia Vu
I, I
cooking.
I
Cooking.
don't understand. I don't understand it at all. And it's just like we want to freaking cheer for y'all, but you got to
Yes.
step up to the plate and stop depending on the PGA Tour to carry y'all. That's not
Right.
the plan. That is not the long term plan for success. You
I
have
think
to
that's
create.
backward.
Yes. Because guess what? At the end of the day, it's like any other kind of male female sport where it's comparable. People are just going to tend to gravitate towards the males just
Yep.
because it's longer. We know and appreciate the LPGA game. It is precise. Their athletic talent is definitely increasing. You're seeing, when you look at a Lynn Grant swing the club, do you think
Length,
she's not popping it out
athleticism.
there 300? It's crazy, right?
Yep.
But again, you cannot attach yourself fully to the PGA and expect to win or ride the coattails. It is a different game to a certain
Yep.
degree. There are certain parts of it that just don't correspond. Yes, y'all are better with short irons in hand and hybrids, and your skill level is incredible, but you're not going to be able to draft and get coverage based on your association with the men. It's just not going to
100%.
work that way. You have
100%.
stars, cultivate your stars, feature them, be more
Yep.
active in social media. I remember earlier on in the year they had misnamed a winner of a tournament on their website. How do you keep making mistakes like this and expecting to win? It's just so backwards. And you can tell,
Right.
like, again, we're fans. You hear the passion in our voice. We've talked about Solheim Cup for almost 40 minutes here. We are fans of the game, but we continue to be disappointed by the way that they market and, cover themselves. It's
Yep.
poor. Media stories, like the biggest story this week was Danielle Kang's clubs getting lost and, coming in a couple of days
Right.
beforehand. That was probably the biggest lead in story. There wasn't a lot of idea around, again, just auxiliary stories, a lot of interviews coming out. Press conferences are super lame. I don't know, man. I'm frustrated just a point where it's like, come on now.
Right. And I mean, and just to carry on with that. So again, you want to be lapped in. You want to be lumped in with the PGA. Okay. The only way this successfully works is if we do it same. We can do the same course. It's got to be opposite weeks though. We got to keep it separate
Mm-hmm.
weeks, right? That way the camera crews are already set up. The people that are going to be, interviewing and doing the on-course coverage is already there. That way,
Mm-hmm.
when you're thinking, oh man, it's not going to get the coverage, then all of a sudden you see the PGA players on the course out there in their country's colors,
Cheering.
so
Yeah.
cheering on. Hey, look, there's JT and Spieth right there looking and supporting. Oh my goodness, is that John Rahm and Rory over there in their European blues and yellows? It
Yeah.
is. They're out here supporting. And then there you have it. There gets you coverage.
Yeah.
Then you lump it in. There's no way possible you do this as a conjoined event. That's the
No, because
complete
that's
ass backwards way of doing it. Just like what we were talking
we'll,
about.
we'll we'll see it this week with Ryder Cup. The
Yeah,
celebrities will be on hand. You
exactly,
might
bro.
you'll see a Michael Jordan over there or something. All these faces that and you're 100% correct. You bring in your male golf stars to cheer the women on, and yes, other
Right.
there's a handful of people that Brooks Koepka wouldn't have been available, playing on Live this week, but you could
Yeah.
have had you know 5 6 guys from either side out on camera doing on course interviews, bringing attention. You're spot on there. You're spot on there.
I mean, please, like, if we're being for real, like, let's be for real. But if you want to be a standalone and you want to carry your own weight and pick up these expenses, get a lot more benefits, get a lot more sponsors, a lot more money into the women's golf game, then you got to be able to cough a little bit, let those things drop, and stand by yourself. So
Yeah.
when the whole thing is going along where you're trying to be opposite year event, like we talked about literally last week, I'd much rather compete with the President's Cup than the freaking Ryder Cup. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Because we're just
President's
waiting
Cup's
on the
great.
Ryder Cup.
Exactly. Yeah, this is just a warm up for next year. We'll be all right. Yeah, it's fine. Now you get into the Solheim Cup. It's like, oh, cool, yeah. And now, and then you know how they always run freaking American soil, American soil. That's the only other
Hmm.
way. If they both run on that same country or that same venue, that's the only way where you can conjoin the two. Otherwise,
Yeah.
that whole idea is scrapped,
Yeah.
completely scrapped, bro. Like when you put that in the show notes, I was ready. Man, I don't know what Stacy Lewis talking about, bro. There's no
Right.
way possible for that to come through without you seeming like you're riding coattails to the PGA. You
Right.
just said
You
you want
just
to be standalone.
Yeah. So do it. Do it right.
Exactly.
Like get some executives in there. I forget the guy's name. I think it's Seth One that is ahead over the LPGA.
Mike Warren.
He's an intelligent Mike One. Yeah, he's an intelligent guy.
Yeah.
Get a team of marketing around it. You have the product. You just have to figure out how to sell it. It'd be totally different if we didn't know any of these young ladies or that you didn't have a depth of young talent that's coming up. I mean,
Yep.
Jesus Christ. I mean, you look at the ages of some of these people who have won this year, and there's just absolutely
Not a
no
lot
reason
above
why
25.
no, there's no reason why you don't have ads running all over the place. And I get it. Like, golf media is changing. You can tell, like, Golf Channel is it's going away. So like if you try to, the app, they were kind of trying to kill it for a while,
Yeah,
redirecting you to NBC Sports. Even now, Golf Channel, the website, redirects you to NBC Sports. It's not the
yeah,
same in-depth coverage, and I feel like that's something that these, LPGA is going to figure their crap out. LPGA is going to be the one that's going to struggle from that lack of direct coverage. The way the NBC app handles
yeah,
golf, it kind of takes you to their websites versus when it was self-contained within the Golf Channel app. You could get everything you needed: scores, updates, stats, season results, all in one place. It's a lot
yeah,
more convoluted, and they're driving you back to the website. So if the website sucks, it again, I mean, you
yeah.
have to figure out ways to be out there and be present and feature your stars and have these amazing graphics where they're just showcasing their game and their skills. But
1000% agreed.
we'll figure it. They're going to sink or swim in the next couple of years with this deal.
You know what they
But
could do?
complaining, what's
No, go
that?
ahead. Finish, finish,
No,
finish.
no, 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 no. Go ahead.
You know what they could do? Just like the PGA these last couple of years started doing like rewards for player
Like the
influence,
player impact, yeah.
the player impact fund. You telling me, don't get me wrong, apologies ahead of time. I am very much so
I'm
pro
gonna have to
women.
censor you.
No, 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 no. I'm not cursing. But like you telling me with the social media popularity of Instagram that you can't post these young ladies swing and they're not gonna be like, that's a nice looking swing. Oh, she also happens to look nice too. What are we talking about, bro? Get these girls on
Yeah,
IG. Get these girls on Twitter. Post their stuff so that they can get their name out there. Because I
yeah.
guarantee you, if you're attaching your marketability with likeness and things like that,
You
I
can
mean,
sell that.
how much do we talk about Nelly Corda? Pure ability of golf, and she just so happens to look decent too. Lynn Grant, not a bad looker. Emily Petterson, not a bad looker. Danielle Kane, not a bad looker. What are we talking about here? These
Sell it.
girls
Yeah.
that
Take advantage of it.
take advantage of it while you can, because you know there's these slime balls out here that are making millions that will just feed into that, bro. Like, like it
Right. I get
just
it. It's a
that's
targeted
all I'm saying.
marketing. I get it. And I totally get it. It's use your common sense. Encourage them to post more often. A lot of the LPGA players are private, and that may be due to safety and just maybe not having the resources for security. And yeah, there might the other end of that. You may have a crazy stalker, crazy dude that goes
Yeah,
too
that's
far.
true.
Who knows what that looks like? But I agree. A lot of their pages are just pretty quiet, or when they get to that level, they don't post as often, or have teams behind that. And maybe that's just the lack of resources. But
True.
with Instagram now, there's the ability to cross post where it's going to go on both people's pages. So like LPGA tagging players, or doing
Right.
a combined post would go a long way with these players. Featuring
Right.
them in their, they do a lot of events, or or kind of balls and different things around events when they play. Feature them off the course as well as their on course things as well. Show them
Yeah.
as human beings. We see that from a JT, a Spieth. We know what their families look like. All these different aspects of their personal lives. It would definitely sell. So
Right.
yeah, they're missing a ton of opportunity there.
And
Um,
if it's a safety thing, which I and wholeheartedly agree, but you have 40-ish events, right? All of
mhm.
these events are vetted, right? Post your rain session. Post you post your get ready with me, of course. Leave off, your hotel, things like that. Everybody has a bathroom window. Show us doing your face care, your facial routine or whatever. We don't need to see you putting on your clothes because that's weird. That's the part that you leave off. Then we get back into the golf. You know what I'm saying? You pull
Yeah,
up, you're using a rental, a loaner car, because LPGA does have that. You pull up in
yeah,
your Kia Telluride, that has paper plates. They don't know where that dealership is. They don't know where
Right,
that's
or
at.
it's a courtesy car. Like you're
A
seeing,
courtesy
like the
car.
guys getting dropped off in Rome this week, in
Yeah,
BMWs. Right, there's no markings on those vehicles. So yeah, I get
exactly.
it. Yeah, there's ways to around the safety aspect, but I think you do have to encourage it. Right, you saw once the PGA introduced the PIP fund, there was a lot more people getting active, and yes, some people just tend to be more active. Shout out to one of my favorite guys, Michael Kim, who's amazing on Twitter. If you're not following him, you
Yep.
should definitely give him a follow. He's amazing, just giving insight as a PGA Tour player.
Great introspect.
Um,
Yep,
but
absolutely.
but yeah, so yeah, there's ways around that. One thing that I want to hit on before, because I'm near a wrap up point, just kind of touching on the end of the Ryder Cup stuff is the trash talk has started. We have Wyndham Clark, um, firing the first noise talk
Love
shot,
it.
saying, I have the utmost respect for Rory. He is obviously one of the best of all time, but I like to think I am better than him and want to prove that. So, um, Jesus,
This is where the yeah,
that's
that's
pretty
hot.
bold.
That's hot. And coming from Wyndham Clark, who just won his first major this year, even more hotter. But we talked
Yeah.
about it. This is his personality. And you had to talk me off the edge because I thought he was a little bit brash, thought he was a little bit crazy for it. But that's just, you got to respect it. He talks
Yeah.
it and he walks it. He's not going to back down from that because that's what he thinks. That he mentally thinks that. And if he wants to say that, more power to you. Now,
Yes.
when
Confidence goes a long way, man.
truly, now when freaking Luke Donald and Zach Johnson set up this solos match, y'all first off, and Rory nine and eight you or something crazy like that. I think,
Shut up. No,
but
but you know what?
I love it though.
That's the part of sports that I like is that
Yep,
you're willing to put yourself out there and your skills, and sometimes it doesn't work out, right? If somebody just comes out and beats you just fair and square, which I'm hoping that they end up matched up together. I don't think it's likely, but we'll see.
they'll find a way.
Um,
They'll find a way.
hopefully, some way.
Team events, it's a little bit more shaky. Solos, they in conversation because it's just like matchups. It's like, hey, look, I know we're not really supposed to do this, but I'm gonna send out JT fourth. I'm gonna send out Speed six. What you got? I mean,
Yeah,
I'll pair them up. I'll pair up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They can go against here. Da 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 da. He's been calling for it in the locker room. Go ahead, match them up. It's gonna be the same thing. They'll text
yeah.
individual. They got each other's numbers. They'll text, and then before the presser, they'll be like, "This is what I'm dropping," and then yeah, that matches up fine. It'll be some good matchups for TV, and then they'll go on about their business. Sorry to interrupt you
Yeah.
again, Roddy.
No, you didn't. We're good. But I am running low on time and battery, and we will have a whole show based on the Ryder Cup this week. We know it's going to be some
It's gonna be
fireworks.
fun.
It's going to be fun. We had a good spirited conversation this week about the Ryder Cup, or excuse me, the Solheim Cup. So a couple comments here before we hop off. Like I said,
Yep,
I'm about to die. Mr. Braz, yeah, I've seen a good bit on Nelly Court, especially the swing. A lot of videos, none posted by anything LPGA affiliated. Again, just confirming what we say. Lack of
exactly.
coverage on their side. And man, you also get an interested group of people if you go to the range pre-tee off at an LPGA event. I agree with that
Pre.
wholeheartedly. So, like a couple of weeks ago, at the BMW PGA Championship over in Europe, I don't like the style of commentator or just kind of walk around, but they had a guy out on the range, really just kind of walking up to people, interrupting their sessions, and you get the raw, unadulterated version of people, and I think that goes a long way with the viewer. So yeah,
Yep.
good call outs there. LPGA is missing the boat. They need to really take notes from other entities that are marketing their athletes properly. You're not wearing a helmet. These people's faces are out there. Take advantage of it. Again, we'll be back next week discussing the Ryder Cup. Great show today. Good, lively discussion. A lot of topics. I feel like we do a better job of marketing and talking about the different aspects of the LPGA than they
For
do.
real.
So I'm Rob.
Hire us on, and I'm Marcus.
Bearder Bros Golf Show. We'll catch you guys next week. Thank you. Peace.